Okay, so one of my trades from earlier in the week at Kempton Park, early in the day, and I was actually anticipating a bit of a move here on this Hurricane Vic second favourite, and I'll go through the reasons for that in a second. But initially, you can see that I'm 63p in the red there. Basically, I've just dipped in the market, and I've kind of been thinking about it, and I'm just looking for confirmation really more than anything else. Confirmation that this trade's going to start going in the direction that I want it to. Now, sometimes that means like taking a couple of quid loss before we get going, just to dip our toes in the market and sort of get a feel for where the money's flowing, I suppose. Or that confirmation is quite important for building your confidence when placing your trades. So at this point, I'm fairly confident. I've seen the things I want to see. You can see that Mr. Cardle's dipped in a little bit from the outside. Not a great issue. Although I was kind of expecting a little bit of money for maybe the third here, well rewarded, and possibly even the fourth under the phone. On top of that, the favourite looks fairly strong. We've got AP McCoy on board in the famous combo of AP McCoy and John Joe O'Neill. They go pretty well together, so you wouldn't expect that to be too weak, as sort of partially one of them reasons, but it's something to keep an eye on. But basically, I'm just looking for all the things to confirm. Basically, what I'm just highlighting there is well rewarded. There's a little bit of money holding that up on the lay side, and I expect that that's probably fake. That might come crashing down in a second, but the things are going in our favour. Now I've put a few exits in as well. I've scattered a few 50s about there. One for 250 quid. Arguably I could have got on a little bit sooner, possibly a little bit shorter in price, but it's not always possible. But what I want to highlight here is the fact that there's basically like of the top four in the betting, the other three are fairly strong, and that's the reason for this trade more than anything. Now, if you've got a strong market and there's one in particular that isn't as strong as the others, then there's a fair chance that it will drift. So even if it doesn't go in our favour and drift as much as we want to, which it looks like it's starting to move a little bit now as liquidity picks up, 4 minutes out, just under. But yeah, sorry, I was just saying, as it goes with picking these sort of trades, if you manage to pick one that you think has got a good chance of drifting and the rest of the market's likely to be quite strong, even if it's not quite right, you'll probably get out for a couple of ticks profit, and even if you're wrong, you're probably not going to lose a lot at all, because even though you're wrong, it's not going to go flying in, or you wouldn't expect it to fly in for picking them reasons. So I'm just scaling out a little bit of trade there, 8.8, so that's quite a few ticks, bearing in mind we've got on at about 8, so that's 4-5 ticks already anyway. And the reason I've just closed out that trade there is because the favourites just drifted out a second. Now, it just made me a little bit nervous. I just highlighted that with the cursor, obviously, but it was going in our favour, and you can see the prices dip back a tick or two. Now, that might not be a permanent thing, because the actual trend might be drifting on this Hurricane Vic, and it looks like it could be the case. But that little drift and the favourite there is enough to affect the other prices for at least a tick or two. So I just wanted to be aware that, hang on, if his favourite drifts out for a second or two, it changes the whole game, and that's when we exit the trade, and that's a reason for exiting the trade, rather than going, I was planning on taking 20 quid profit, I've got 20 quid, yada yada yada. So now the favourites dip back in, there's a little bit more money. Some of them large stakes could be sort of manipulation type stuff, but you can see I've managed to get decent Q position. I've offered myself in the market at 8.6, and now the trade's continued back on the trend of the favourite. It's just dipping out, and you can see that's why I'm hovering over there. I'm hovering over. Now the interesting thing here is that the favourite's gone out for maybe 4 or 5 ticks there, and the second's carried on drifting, which is a really good sign in this instance, because that then means if a favourite comes back in for them few ticks, then we're definitely probably going to get filled up at 9.4, which is ideal. Now we're running shorter on time, with horses loading into the stalls. And that's dipped back, and the whole time it's just protecting my position really. So I'm going to get out again there at 8.8, possibly 8.6, and there's been a little bit of a snap back here. And the reason for that is the fourth that was the coming in and taking what seemed like a little bit of support just then, which we anticipated right at the beginning, has snapped back out, and so something else has to correct within the market. So at the moment, I'm just looking for opportunity. If the fourth resumes a little bit of pressure, and the favourite carries on being, fairly strong and holding its point in the market, then we could possibly get back in. But at this stage in the game, I'm just looking to take out a couple of scalps, possibly. just see if I can turn over a couple of extra stakes just to maximise that profit. I'm not looking to catch much more of a drift at this point in time, because it's quite obvious that the market is not really going to go much more of a massive move, all by sort of some freak late money coming in, and lots of it. So we got in at 8.8, offered our price again, very important, and then we're going to try and get back out at 9s, and then I'll probably try and do that once more again. I would have thought. Looking at the time, ticking down to post. This race isn't going to go off particularly late, so time is limited. Obviously, volume has picked up now massively. You can see at the top of the Geeks Toy software there, you're getting more than £1,000 a second, so we're getting a nice turnover in the market, which makes it a little bit safer to rattle stakes through the market for very short moves, scalping out, whereas you're not going to get away with that earlier on. So I'm just putting myself in some ideal situations, ideal positioning, in the market, a little bit further down. Should that bounce down and fill us, we know that this horse isn't particularly strong, the pressure should be in the opposing direction, so hopefully we'll get that filled at 8.8. I'm not going to be too desperate and chase it up, because there's no need for that, and it's close to post, but you can just see it's quite easily just skimmed another 100 quid through the market there for an extra few quid, totaling up at about 28 quid. So just a highlight really, when there's one weak in the market and the others are quite strong, that's always a good sign to be looking for a small move.